So you talk a lot about the sort of the rational reasons why centuries ago people would be ostracized for being different.
Hmm.
It's a brutal story, but it's a reality to tell that.
Yeah. So I think to understand this phenomenon, we have to kind of go back to tribal society. And I think it's evolutionarily understandable that nonconformist would be unpopular because if you're living in a tribe of like a couple dozen people and you're out in the wilderness and where life is nasty, brutish, and short and you're trying to survive against the elements, you need everybody to be on the same team. And if you have someone who's not pulling their weight because they're off doing something crazy, that's a threat to the society. And you can see why that would be discouraged from an evolutionary standpoint. But when you expand society out to the point where it is now and you have millions of people, what I do doesn't really affect you. I can, do anything I want and it's not really going to have any effect on you. So there's no rational reason for us to be against nonconformists. But I think we have this kind of evolutionary holdover. It's this instinctual thing that is comes from our ancestral history about why we're just naturally suspicious and hostile to people who want to do things differently.
Yeah, I just reread the story about changelings, which is an awful story about the rationale for people killing their babies.
Yeah, absolutely. People would have a baby that was maybe a little sickly or weak or deformed or weird looking, and they decided they didn't want it for whatever reason. And in order to justify that to themselves, they would make up a story about how the baby was exchanged with a fairy or with some kind of a goblin or something, and it's not really their baby, so they're allowed to drown it in the river to get rid of it. And yeah, people can justify horrible things, and it's this whole concept of scapegoating, where you basically pile the sins of the individuals onto some person or something, some animal, and you use that to try to drive out all the evil in the society. But it's very unfair to the person being scapegoated.
Yeah, and to me, like I'm a libertarian, and I believe in a liberal, open society because that to me is the only way to sort of transcend some of that brutal tribalism that must be part of human nature. That there is a way that all of us, with all of our differences, actually learn to benefit from those differences. But it can't be one size fits all,
No.
because that the temptation there is to eliminate anybody that doesn't fit the model.
Yeah, and I find it very concerning with respect to mental health these days, because they've expanded the diagnostic and statistical manual so much that psychiatrists use to classify diseases or conditions or disorders or whatever you want to call them. And they've basically labeled any divergent behavior as some kind of a disorder that needs to be treated or medicated. And it's bad. It's like really scary to me, because instead of just accepting that we're different and we have different strengths and different weaknesses, we have to say that person doesn't fit in the box, therefore he's got a disorder, therefore we have to give him these drugs that will turn him into a zombie. And it's we're not really at the point anymore where we're hospitalizing too many people over this. We used to, like in the 70s, it was really bad. We'd institutionalize people because they didn't fit in. Like one of my favorite data points that I think is shocking that no one really knows about is that homosexuality was considered a mental disorder until 1987. It wasn't removed from the manual until 1987. And you could be involuntarily treated for it. You could be drugged, or you could be given therapy, or you could be even hospitalized for it, because society or the profession of psychiatry thought that it was some kind of a disorder, and therefore justified, coercion. And it's terrifying. And we've gotten a lot better about that, but I think we've gotten worse in the sense that we're trying to identify more and more patterns of behavior as somehow aberrant and, a symptom of a disease.